Every empire says its money is safe. Every government says its promises will outlive you. And almost every century, history laughs. Because money's not bedrock. Money is trust. And trust can vanish faster than a bank can lock its doors. So the real question isn't, will a system fail? The real question is, what survives when money fails? Welcome to the Hidden Money History, where money, power, and history collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Here's the dangerous illusion. We look at our bank balance, our salary, our national currency, and we assume permanence. But permanence is a story the system tells you so you'll keep obeying the rules. History shows a colder truth. Collapse isn't rare. Collapse is normal. And when collapse comes, the survivors are almost never the people who trusted the most. They're the people who notice the cracks early. Let me show you what I mean. Start with Byzantium, the empire that carried Roman civilization for centuries after the West fell. For a long time, it had one of the most trusted coins in the world, a gold coin accepted far beyond its borders. Merchants treated it like a guarantee. But even Byzantium couldn't resist the oldest temptation in state finance: stretch the money, shave the purity, make the coin look the same while quietly making it weaker. At first, nobody notices. That's why it works. Then the doubts begin. And once doubt begins, trust breaks in stages. First among merchants, then among soldiers, then among ordinary people. And when the anchor coin loses credibility, trade starts to wobble. Prices become arguments. Foreign traders demand real value. The empire's money stops being a passport and becomes a question mark. So what survived? Not decrees, not patriotic speeches, not official reassurances. What survived was value outside the story, portable wealth that didn't depend on the emperor's honesty, productive land, and trade networks built on reputation, not propaganda. Lesson 1, governments can't counterfeit trust forever. And when trust breaks, people run toward what can't be printed into existence, but not every collapse starts with rulers tampering with coins. Sometimes collapse arrives through shock. In the 14th century, Europe was hit by the Black Death. Cities emptied, trade routes snapped, families vanished. It was a human catastrophe, but economically it revealed something brutal. When labor becomes scarce, labor becomes powerful. Survivors could demand higher wages. Some could buy land and property that used to be untouchable, and families who had reserves, goods, silver, or simply the ability to produce, suddenly had leverage in a world desperate to rebuild. Lesson 2. In shocks, wealth often shifts toward those who can still produce and those who still have flexibility when everyone else is trapped. Now let's move to Renaissance Florence, the place that looked like the financial future. Florence had banking dynasties that seemed untouchable. They lent to kings. They moved money across continents. Their reputations were treated like safety. Then one truth of finance arrived like a hammer. Powerful borrowers can default. When the loans turned bad, the banks collapsed. Depositors were ruined. Trade froze. And ordinary people learned the most expensive lesson of all. Size is not safety. Reputation is not protection. Too big to fail is not new. It's just a lie that keeps getting recycled. Lesson 3. An institution's promises are only good until the day they aren't. Next, the American Civil War. War doesn't just burn cities. It burns the value of money. When governments can't fund a conflict through taxes, they reach for the shortcut. They print. In the North, paper money expanded. In the South, it expanded until it broke. And here's what collapse feels like in real life. Your wages arrive, and they're worth less before the weekends. People carry stacks of bills that buy almost nothing. Savings evaporate. Prices become unpredictable. And trust dies quietly, one transaction at a time. So what survives? Not paper, not slogans. What survives is tangible value. Food, tools, land, durable goods, and the ability to keep functioning when the currency becomes a joke. Lesson 4, in monetary collapse, the real economy doesn't disappear. It gets louder. People still need to eat, repair, build, move goods, make things. And the people who can do those things are never truly poor for long. Now we step into revolutionary France because revolutions can destroy money faster than war. The state introduced paper claims tied, in theory, to land. At first it sounded rational. At first people believed. Then printing accelerated. Each new issue diluted the last. And soon the public learned the oldest rule in monetary history. A promise only works while people accept it. When acceptance breaks, the money doesn't slowly decline. It snaps. Farmers refuse paper. They demand goods. Markets fracture. And the revolution discovers that you can overthrow a king, but you can't print trust. Lesson 5. When confidence breaks, money becomes theater. Now jump to the modern era. In 2019, Lebanon's crisis showed something many people still refuse to believe. Your bank deposit is not a treasure chest. It is a claim on an institution, and in a crisis, that institution can say, not today. Accounts were restricted. Withdrawals became limits. The currency collapsed. Families who did everything right learned the same ancient truth. The rules change when the system is scared. Lesson 6. When institutions panic, access matters more than statements. So what survives when money fails? Here's what history keeps pointing to, again and again, across centuries, across continents. 1. Productive ability, skills that create value even when prices are chaos. 2. Flexibility, low dependence on one institution, one paycheck, one fragile chain. 3. Real-world reserves, not fantasies, not paper value, but things that keep life running when markets seize. 4. Trust that isn't printed, reputation, community, relationships that still function when contracts feel suspicious. 5. Awareness, the habit of asking the uncomfortable question early. What breaks first if this system cracks? Because collapse is not just tragedy. Collapse is also transfer, from the many who trusted the story to the few who prepared for reality. And that brings us back to the title, What Survives When Money Fails? Not the currency, not the slogans, not the guarantees. What survives is whatever still has value when belief disappears. Now, I want your answer in the comments, and I want it specific. If your currency lost credibility tomorrow, what would you rely on first? Skills, community, reserves, or mobility? And if this gave you a new perspective, subscribe. History has the answers, and I'll show you where to look.